On the side of Suparshva mountain stands a big tree called Mahakadamba, which is very celebrated. From the hollows of this tree flow 5 rivers of honey, each about 5 viyamas wide. This flowing honey falls incessantly from the top of Suparsava mountain and flows all around Ilavita Varsa, beginning from the western side. Thus, the whole land is saturated with the pleasing fragrance. How about that? That's wonderful. Uh, Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The distance between one hand and another, when one spreads both his arms, is called a vyarna, no, vyama. This comes to about 8 feet. Thus, each of the rivers was about 40 feet wide, making a total of about 200 feet. Text 23. The air carrying the scent from the mouths of those who drink that honey perfumes the land for 100 yojanas around. Oh, that's amazing. Text number 24. Similarly, on the Kumuda mountain, there is a great banyan tree, which is called Satavalsa, because it has 100 main branches. From those branches come many roots, from which many rivers are flowing. These rivers flow down from the top of the mountain to the northern side of Ilavrita Varsa for the benefit of those who live there. Because of these flowing rivers, all the people have ample supplies of milk, yogurt, honey, clarified butter or ghee, molasses, food grains, clothes, bedding, sitting places, and ornaments. All the objects they desire are sufficiently supplied for their prosperity, and therefore they are very happy. Wow. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The prosperity of humanity does not depend on a demoniac civilization that has no culture and no knowledge, but has only gigantic skyscrapers and huge automobiles, always rushing down the highways.
Mhm.
The products of nature, grains, ghee, molasses, dotis, saris, let's see, it says dotis,
Dhotis. We got dhotis.
uh,
Saris.
sari, bedding, sitting places, and ornaments. The residents are actually opulent. When a profuse supply of water from the river inundates the land, all these things can be produced, and there will not be scarcity. This all depends, however, on the performance of sacrifice as described in the Vedic literature. Anad Bhavati Bhutani Parjanya Anasambhava. Yajna Yajna Bhavati Parjanyo Yajna Karma Samad Bhava. All living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yajna, sacrifice, and yajna is born of prescribed duties. These are the prescriptions given in Bhagavad Gita 3.14. If people follow these principles in full Krishna consciousness, human society will be prosperous and they will be happy both in this life and in the next. Okay, so according to this, Anand Bhavati
Bhutan.
Anand Bhavati Bhutani Parjanya Anand Sambhava Yajnat Bhavati Parjanyo Yajnat Karma Samudbhava. All living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yajna or sacrifice, and yajna is born of prescribed duties. These are the prescriptions given in Bhagavad Gita. So, performing prescribed duties, or in other words, yajnas, is necessary if one wants to have nice rain and weather and so forth, and ultimately having a lot of food grain so that there is no starving. Okay, so this depends basically on the population engaged in devotional service. Then all necessities are produced by the mercy of the Lord, who is pleased by the behavior of the people. Text 25. The residents of the material world who enjoy the products of these flowing rivers have no wrinkles on their bodies and no gray hair. They never feel fatigue, and perspiration does not give their bodies a bad odor. They are not afflicted by old age, disease, or untimely death. They do not suffer from chilly cold or scorching heat, nor do their bodies lose their luster. They all live very happily without anxieties until death.
Hmm.
Oh, they still die though. But right up to the moment of death, they're living a very good life. Purport. This verse hints at the perfection of human society, even within this material world. The miserable conditions of this material world can be corrected by sufficient supply of milk, yogurt, honey, ghee, molasses, food grains, ornaments, bedding, sitting places, and so on. This is human civilization. Ample food grain can be produced through agricultural enterprises, and profuse supplies of milk, yogurt, and ghee can be arranged through cow protection. Abundant honey can be obtained if the forests are protected. Unfortunately, in modern civilization, men are busy killing the cows that are the source of yogurt, milk, and ghee. They are cutting down all the trees that supply honey, yogurt, milk, and that supply honey, yogurt, milk, and ghee. I'm sorry, that supply honey, and they are opening factories to manufacture nuts, bolts, automobiles, and wine instead of engaging in agriculture. How can the people be happy? They must suffer from all the misery of materialism. Their bodies become wrinkles and gradually deteriorate until they become almost like dwarves. Dwarves are small people, means. And a bad odor emanates from their bodies because of unclean perspiration, resulting from eating all kinds of nasty things. This is not human civilization. If people actually want happiness in this life and want to prepare for the best in the next life, they must adopt a Vedic civilization. In a Vedic civilization, there is a full supply of all the necessities mentioned above. Okay, so what are those necessities again? Let's read that list, tonight's list. And it says there's a sufficient supply of milk, yogurt, honey, ghee, molasses, food grains, ornaments, bedding, sitting places, and so on. This is human civilization. Ample food grains can be produced through the agricultural enterprise, and profuse supplies of milk, yogurt, and ghee can be arranged through cow protection. Abundant honey can be obtained if the forests are protected. There you go. Text number 26. There are other mountains beautifully arranged around the foot of Mount Meru, like the filaments around the whorl of a lotus flower. Their names are Kuranga, Kurara, Kusumba, Vaikanka, Trikuta, Sisira, Patanga, Ruchaka, Nisada, Sinivasa, Kapila, Sanka, Vaidurya, Jarudi, Hamsa, Rishalo, Nada, Kalanchana, and Narada. Text 27. On the eastern side of the Sumeru mountain are two mountains named Jatara and Devahuta, which extend to the north and south for 18,000 yojanas, 144,000 miles. Similarly, on the western side of Sumeru are two mountains named Pavana and Pariyatra, which also extend north and south for the same distance. On the southern side of Sumeru, there are two mountains named Kailasa and Karavira, which extend east and west for let's see,
18,000.
For 18,000 yojanas. And on the northern side of Sumeru, extending for the same distance east and west, are two mountains named Trishringa and Makara. The width and height of all these mountains is 2,000 yojanas, or 16,000 miles. Sumeru, a mountain of solid gold, shining as brilliantly as fire, is surrounded by these 8 mountains. I wish we could see these things today. They're not there anymore. They're there, but they're not visible anymore. Text 28. In the middle of the summit of Meru is the township of Lord Brahma. Each of its four sides is calculated to extend for 10 million yojanas, 80 million miles. It is made entirely of gold, and therefore learned scholars and sages call it Satakum B. Sat
Satakam.
Kaumbi.
Satakam.
Yeah. Text 29. Surrounding the Brahmapuri is, and in all directions, are the residences of the 8 principal governors of the planetary systems, beginning with King Indra. These abodes are similar to the Brahmapuri, but are 1/4 the size. Purport. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur confirms that the townships of Lord Brahma and the 8 subordinate governors of the planetary systems, beginning with Indra, are mentioned in other Puranas. And there's a statement, Meru Nava Purani Syur Manovati Amar Ravati and so forth. Brahma's township is known as Manovati, and those of his assistants, such as Indra and Agni, are known as Amarvati, Tejovati, Samyamani, and Krishnangara, Shraddhavati, Gandharvati, Mahodaya, and Yeshovati. Brahmapuri is situated in the middle, and the other 8 puris surround it in all directions. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 5th chapter, the 5th canto, 16th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled A Description of Jambu Dwipa. Now we're going to chapter 17, the descent of the river Ganges. This is very interesting. Very interesting.
Pastor.
Very interesting narration.
Mm-hmm.
The 17th chapter describes the origin of the Ganges River and how it flows in and around Ilavrita, Varsa. There is also a description of the prayers Lord Shiva offers to Lord Sankarsana, parts of the quadruple expansions of the Supreme Personality of God. Lord Vishnu once approached Bali Maharaj while the king was performing a sacrifice. The Lord appeared before him as Trivikrama or Vamana and begged alms from the king in the form of 3 steps of land. With 2 steps, Lord Vamana covered all the 3 planetary systems and pierced the covering of the universe. With the toes of his left foot, a few drops of water from the causal ocean leaked through this hole and fell on the head of Lord Shiva, where they remained for 100,000 millenniums. These drops of water are the sacred Ganges River. It first flows onto the heavenly planets, which are located on the soles of Lord Vishnu's feet. The Ganges River is known by many names, such as the Bhagirathi and the Jahnavi. It purifies Dhruvaloka and the planets of the 7 sages because both Dhruva and the sages have no other desire than to serve the Lord's lotus feet. The Ganges River, emanating from the lotus feet of the Lord, inundates the heavenly planets, especially the moon, and then flows through Brahmapuri atop Mount Meru. Here, the river divides into four branches, known as Sita, Alankanad,
Alakananda. Alakananda.
Alakananda, Chaksu, and Bhadra, which then flow down to the ocean of salt water. The branch known as Sita flows through the Shekhara Parvata and Gandha
Matan.
Madana Parvata, and then flows down to Vadraspa Varsa, where it mixes with the ocean of salt water in the west. The Chaksu branch flows through Malyavan Giri, and after reaching Ketumala Varsa, mixes with the ocean of salt water in the west. The branch known as Bhadra flows onto Mount Meru, Mount Kumuda, and the Nila, Sveta, and Shringavan mountains before it reaches Kurudesha, where it flows into the ocean of salt water in the north. The Alakananda branch flows through Ramalaya, crosses over many mountains, including the Kikuta and Himakuta. Let's see, and Hemakuta and Himakuta, and then reaches Bharata over Bharata Varsa, where it flows into the southern side of the ocean of salt water. Many other rivers and their branches flow through the 9 Varsas. The tract of land known as Bharatvarsa is the field of activity, and the other 8 Varsas are for persons who are meant to enjoy heavenly comfort. In each of these 8 beautiful provinces, the celestial denizens enjoy various standards of material comfort and pleasure. A different incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead distributes His mercy in each of the 9 Varsas of Jambu Dvipa. In the Ilavrita Varsa, Lord Shiva is the only male. There he lives with his wife, Bhavani, who is attended by many maidservants. If any other male enters that province, Bhavani curses him to become a woman. Well, it's a curse. Lord Shiva worships Lord Sankarsana by offering various prayers, one of which is as follows. My dear Lord, please liberate all your devotees from material life and bind all the non-devotees to the material world.
Mhm.
Without your mercy, no one can be released from the bondage of material existence. Well, woe is for the non-devotees. Text 1. Sukadeva Goswami said, My dear king, Lord Vishnu, the enjoyer of all sacrifices, appeared as Vamana Deva in the sacrificial arena of Bali Maharaj. Then he extended his left foot to the end of the universe and pierced a hole in its covering with the nail of his big toe. Through the hole, the pure water of the causal ocean entered this universe as the Ganges River. Having washed the lotus feet of the Lord, which are covered with reddish powder, the water of the Ganges acquired a very beautiful pink color. Every living being can immediately purify his mind of material contamination by touching the transcendental water of the Ganges. Yet, the feet of the Lord before descending within this universe, I'm sorry, because the Ganges directly touches the lotus feet of the Lord before descending within this universe, she is known as Vishnupadi. Later, she received other names like Janavi and Bhagirati. After 1,000 millenniums, the water of the Ganges descended on Dhruvaloka, the topmost planet in this universe. Therefore, all the learned sages and scholars proclaim Dhruvaloka to be Vishnupada, situated on Lord Vishnu's lotus feet. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, Sukadeva Goswami describes the glories of the Ganges River. The water of the Ganges is called Patita Pavani, the deliverer of all sinful living beings. It is a proven fact that a person who regularly bathes in the Ganges is purified both externally and internally. Externally, his body becomes immune to all kinds of diseases, and internally, he gradually develops a devotional attitude towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Throughout India, many thousands of people live on the banks of the Ganges, and by regularly bathing in her waters, they are undoubtedly being purified, both spiritually and materially. Many sages, including Shankaracharya, have composed prayers in praise of the Ganges, and the land of India itself has become glorious because such rivers as the Ganges, the Yamuna, the Godavari, the Kaveri, the Krishna, and Narmada flow there. Anyone living on the land adjacent to these rivers is naturally advanced in spiritual consciousness. Srila Madhvacharya says, Varahe Vama Padam tu Tad and Yesu tu Dakshinam Padam Kalpe Su Bhagavan Ujahara Trivikrama, standing on his right foot and extending his left to the edge of the universe, Lord Vamana became known as Trivikrama, the incarnation who performed three heroic deeds. Text 2. Dhruva Maharaja, the famous son of Maharaj Uttanapada, is known as the most exalted devotee of the Supreme Lord because of his firm determination in executing devotional service. Knowing that the sacred Ganges water washes the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, Dhruva Maharaja, situated on his own planet, to this very day accepts that water on his head with great devotion because he constantly thinks of Krishna very devoutly within the core of his heart. He is overcome with ecstatic anxiety, tears within the core of his heart. He is overcome with ecstatic anxiety, tears within the core of his heart. He is overcome with ecstatic anxiety. Tears flow from his half-open eyes, and eruptions appear on his entire body. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When a person is firmly fixed in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is described as Vira Vranta, fully determined. Such a devotee increases his ecstasy in devotional service more and more. Thus, as soon as he remembers Lord Vishnu, his eyes fill with tears. This is a symptom of a Mahabhagavata. Dhruva Maharaja maintained himself in that devotional ecstasy. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also gave us a practical example of transcendental ecstasy when he lived at Jagannath Puri. His pastimes there are fully narrated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, text 3. The seven great sages, Marichi, Vasista, Atri, and so on, reside on planets beneath Dhruvaloka. Well aware of the influence of the water of the Ganges, to this day they keep Ganges water on the tufts of hair on their heads. They have concluded that this is the ultimate wealth, the perfection of all austerities, and the best means of prosecuting transcendental life. Having obtained uninterrupted devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they neglect all other beneficial processes like religion, economic development, sense gratification, and even merging into the Supreme. Just as Gyanis think that merging into the existence of the Lord is the highest truth, these seven exalted personalities accept devotional service as the perfection of life. That's true. Purport. Transcendentalists are divided into two primary groups: the Nirvisesha Vadis, or impersonalists, and the Bhaktas, or devotees. The impersonalists do not accept spiritual varieties of life. They want to merge into the existence of the Supreme Lord in his Brahman feature, the Brahmajyoti. The devotees, however, desire to take part in the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. In the upper planetary system, the topmost planet is Dhruvaloka, and beneath Dhruvaloka are the seven planets occupied by the great sages, beginning with Maharishi, Varsista, and Atri. All these sages regard devotional service as the highest perfection of life. Therefore, they all carry devotional service as the highest perfection of life. Therefore, they all carry, the holy water of the Ganges on their heads. This verse proves that for one who has achieved the platform of pure devotional service, nothing else is important, even so-called liberation, kaivalya. Sridhara Swami states that only by achieving pure devotional service of the Lord can one give up all other engagements as insignificant. Prabodhananda Saraswati confirms his statement as follows: Kaivalyam narakate tri dasa pur akasha pushpai yate, and so forth. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has perfectly enunciated and broadcast the process of bhakti yoga. Consequently, for one who has taken shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, The highest perfection of the Mayavadis, Kaivalya, or becoming one with the Supreme, is considered hellish, to say nothing of the Karmi's aspiration to be promoted to the heavenly planets. Devotees consider such goals to be worthless plantasmagoria. No, let's see. Plantasmagoria. There are also yogis who try to control their senses, but they can never succeed without coming to the stage of devotional service. The senses are compared to the poisonous snakes, but the senses of a bhakta engaged in the service of the Lord are like snakes with their poisonous fangs removed. The yogi tries to suppress his senses, but even great mystics like Vishwamitra fail in the attempt. Vishwamitra was conquered by his senses when he was captivated by Menaka during his meditation. She later gave birth to Sakuntala. The wisest persons in the world, therefore, are the bhakti yogis, as Lord Krishna confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 6.47. Yoginam apisarve samadgatanantaratana shadavan vajate yomam samayuktatamo mata. Of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshiping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. Text 4. After purifying the 7 planets near Dhruvaloka, the pole star, the Ganges water is carried through the spaceways of the demigods in billions of celestial airplanes. Then it inundates the moon, Chandraloka, and finally reaches Lord Brahma's abode atop Mount Meru. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. We should always remember that the Ganges River comes from the causal ocean beyond the covering of the universe. After the water of the causal ocean leaks through the hole created by Lord Vamanadeva, it flows down in Dhruvaloka, the pole star, and then to the 7 planets beneath Dhruvaloka. Then it is carried to the moon by innumerable celestial airplanes, and then it falls to the top of Mount Meru, which is known as Sumeru Parvata. In this way, the water of the Ganges finally reaches the lower planets and the peaks of the Himalayas, and from there it flows through Hardwar and throughout the plains of India, purifying the entire land. How the Ganges water reaches the various planets from the top of the universe is explained herein. Celestial airplanes carry the water from the planets of the sages to other planets. So-called advanced scientists of the modern age are trying to go to the higher planets, but at the same time, they are experiencing a power shortage on the earth. If they were actually capable scientists, they could personally go by airplane to other planets, but this they are unable to do, having now given up their moon excursions. They are attempting to go to other planets, but without success. Haribol! You see, uh, they never actually went to the moon, and they're never actually going to go anywhere else. They're not going to go to Mars, although they talk about all these things, but it's all what you would say uh, nonsense. they are not going to go and be able to uh, live on other planets. Why? Because their bodies, the human body, is not made to live on Mars or live on the moon. And the other point is that the moon and other planets are much farther away than what the scientists say today. Okay, text number 5. On top of Mount Meru, the Ganges divides into 4 branches, each of which gushes in a different direction: east, west, north, south. These branches, known by the names Sita, Alankananda, Chaksu, and Bhadra, flow down to the ocean. Text 6. The branch of the Ganges, known as the Sita, flows through Brahmapuri, atop Mount Meru, and from there it runs down to the nearby peaks of the Kesarachala Mountains, which stand almost as high as Mount Meru itself. These mountains are like a bunch of filaments around Mount Meru. From the Kesarachala Mountains, the Ganges falls to the peak of Gandhamadana Mountain and then flows into the land of Bhadrasva Varsa. Finally, it reaches the ocean of salt water in the west. The branch of the Ganges known as Chaksu falls onto the summit of Mayuyavan Mountain, and from there cascades onto the land of Ketumala Varsa. The Ganges flows incessantly through Ketumala Varsa, and in this way also reaches the ocean of salt water in the west. Text number 8. The branches of the Ganges known as Bhadra flows from the northern side of Mount Meru. Its waters flow onto the peaks of Kurmuda Mountain, Mount Nila, Dwaita Mountain, and Shringavan Mountain in succession. Then it runs down into the province of Kuru, and after crossing through that land, flows into the saltwater ocean in the north. Text number 9. Similarly, the branch of the Ganges known as Alakananda flows from the southern side of Brahmapuri, Brahma's Sadanam, passing over the tops of mountains in various lands. It falls down with fierce force upon the peaks of the mountains Hemakuta and Himakuta. After inundating the tops of those mountains, the Ganges falls down onto the tract of land known as Bharatvarsa, which she also inundates. Then the Ganges flows into the ocean of salt water in the south. Persons who come to bathe in this river are fortunate. It is not very difficult for them to achieve with every step the results of performing great sacrifices like Rajasuya and Asmaveda into the salt water of the Bay of Bengal is still known as Ganga Sagara, or the meeting place of the Ganges and the Bay of Bengal. On the Makara Sankranti, in the month of January, February, thousands of people still go there to bathe, hoping to be liberated. That they can actually be liberated in this way is confirmed herein. For those who bathe in the Ganges at any time, the result of great sacrifices like the uh, Asmaveda and Rajasuya yagas are not at all difficult to achieve. Most people in India are still inclined to bathe in the Ganges, and there are many places where they can do so. At Prayaga, Allahabad, many thousands of people gathered during the month of January to bathe in the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna. Afterward, many of them go to the confluence of the Bay of Bengal and the Ganges to take bath there. Thus, it is a special facility for all the people of India that they can bathe in the water of the Ganges at so many places of pilgrimage. Text number 10. Many other rivers, both big and small, flow from the top of Mount Meru. These rivers are like daughters of the mountain, and they flow to the various tracts of land in hundreds of branches. Text 11. Among the 9 Varsas, the tract of land known as Bharatavarsha is understood to be the field of fruitive activities. Learned scholars and saintly persons declare the other 8 Varsas to be meant for very highly elevated pious persons. After returning from the heavenly planets, they enjoy the remaining results of their pious activities in these 8 earthly Varsas. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The heavenly places of enjoyment are divided into 3 groups: the celestial heavenly planets, the heavenly places on earth, and the beloved heavenly places which are found on the lower regions. Among these 3 classes of heavenly places, Boma, Swarga, Padani, the heavenly places on earth, are the 8 Varsas that other 8 Varsas other than Bharata Varsa. In Bhagavad Gita 9.21, Krishna says the 8 Varsas other than Bharata Varsa. I'm sorry. In Bhagavad Gita 9.21, Krishna says, Kshine punye martya lokam vishanti. When the persons living in the heavenly planets exhaust the results of their pious activities, they return to this earth. In this way, they are elevated to the heavenly planets, and then they again fall to the earthly planets. This process is known as Brahmana, wandering up and down through the universe. Those who are intelligent, in other words, those who have not lost their intelligence, do not involve themselves in this process of wandering up and down. They take to the devotional service of the Lord so that they can ultimately penetrate the covering of this universe and enter the spiritual kingdom. Then they are situated on one of the planets known as Vaikuntha Loka, or still higher, Krishna Loka, Loka Vrindavan. A devotee is never caught in the process of being promoted to the heavenly planets and again coming down. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, E rupe brahmanda brahmite kona bhagavan jiva Guru Krishna prasade paya bhakta lata bija. Among all the living entities wandering throughout the universe, one who is most fortunate comes in contact with a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus gets the opportunity to execute devotional service. Those who are sincerely seeking the favor of Krishna come in contact with a guru, a bona fide representative of Krishna. The Mayavadis indulging in mental speculation and the karmis desiring the results of their actions cannot become gurus. A guru must be a direct representative of Krishna who distributes the instructions of Krishna without any charge. That's interesting. That's important. Without any charge. He has to do it free. Thus, only the most fortunate persons come in contact with the Guru. As confirmed in the Vedic literatures, Tat Viganatam Sagurum Iva Vigachara. One has to search literatures, one has to search out a guru to understand the affairs of the spiritual world. Srimad Bhagavatam also confirms this point. Tasmat Gurum Prapadyeta Jityasu Shreya Uttamam. One who is very interested in understanding the activities in the spiritual world must search out a guru, a bona fide representative of Krishna. From all angles of vision, therefore, the word guru is especially meant for the bona fide representative of Krishna and no one else. Padma Purana states, Avaishnavo Guru Nasyat, one who is not a Vaishnava or who is not a representative of Krishna cannot be a guru. Even the most qualified Brahmana cannot become a guru if he is not a representative of Krishna. Brahmanas are supposed to acquire 6 kinds of auspicious qualifications. And they become very learned scholars, patana, and very qualified teachers, patana. They become expert in worshiping the Lord or the demigods, yajana, and they teach others how to execute this worship, yajana. Yajana. I'm not with it. Yajana. They qualify themselves as bona fide persons to receive alms from others, patigraha, and they distribute the wealth in charity, dana. Yet, even a brahmana possessing these qualifications cannot become a guru unless he is the representative of Krishna. Guru Nasyat. Vaishnava Sva Pako Guru. But a Vaishnava, a bona fide representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, can become a guru even if he is Swapaka, a member of a family of dog eaters. Of the 3 divisions of heavenly planets, Swarga Loka, Boma Swarga, is sometimes accepted as the tract of land in Bharatavarsha known as Kashmir. In this region, there are certainly good facilities for material sense enjoyment, but this is not the business of a pure transcendentalist. Rupa Goswami describes the engagement of a pure transcendentalist as follows. Anya vilasita sunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukul jnana krishnanam suanam bhakti uttamam. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. Those who are fully engaged in devotional service to Krishna just to please him are not interested in the 3 divisions of the heavenly places, namely Divya Swarga, Bhauma Swarga, and Bila Swarga. So, it's very interesting here. It says, of the three divisions of heavenly planets, Swargaloka, Boma Swarga, is sometimes accepted as the tract of land in Bharatvarsha known as Kashmir. In this region, there are certainly good facilities for material sense enjoyment. But this is not the business of a pure transcendentalist. Rupa Goswami describes the engagement of a pure transcendentalist as follows. Anya Siddhasud, Anya Vilasita Sunyam, Jnana Karmadya Navritam, Anukulyena Krishnana Sunam Bhaktir Uttamam. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. Those who fully engage in devotional service to Krishna just to please him are not interested in the three divisions of heavenly places, namely Divya Swarga, Bhoma Swarga, and Bila Swarga. Okay. Text number 12. Oh, I think our time is over. Yeah, I won't go to text number 12 because it's very long. Okay, are there any questions? So much information here. Are there any questions or comments? You can just see how much Prabhupada has dedicated his life to present this knowledge that otherwise would be impossible for us to understand. Impossible. Only a pure devotee can write all this knowledge and present it in a proper way. No one else can do it. Okay, well, thank you very much, my dear devotees. And our takeaway for today is Anya Vilasita Sunyam, Jnana Karmadi Anavritam, Anukulyena Krishnana Silanam Bhaktir Uttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. Those who fully engage in devotional service to Krishna just to please him are not interested in the three divisions of heavenly places, namely Divya Swarga, Bhoma Swarga, and Bila Swarga. Yeah, the devotees are only interested in serving Krishna wherever it may be. Okay, well, we will stop right there and ask if there are any questions.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Haribol.
So Maharaj, as it is written that one who take bath in the river Ganga will get purified, will get liberated. I always wondered, people do lot of sin and then go and take bath in the river Ganga. So will their sins will eradicated, Maharaj? Will their sin will go away?
Yeah, definitely. Ganga, by the way, became very concerned because people who bathe in her waters give all their sinful, let's say, activities to Ganga. And Ganga wasn't very happy about this. But when she spoke to Krishna, he told her, don't worry, because not everybody that comes to bathe in you will be an ordinary person with many sinful activities. There will also be pure devotees that will bathe in your water, and they will nullify all the sinful activities of the regular people. Then Ganga became satisfied. Otherwise, she was not willing to, you know, accommodate all those sinful activities. But when she heard that there would be also pure devotees who would come and nullify all those sinful activities, she agreed to accept the people who bathe in her waters for purification.
So, Maharaj, isn't it? It's a leverage to the people. Like, go do whatever and take bath in the Ganga. You will not be affected by your acts.
I didn't understand what you said.
So I'm saying that so isn't it like people take benefit of that go do whatever, do anything, bad things, bad karma, but and ultimately go and take bath in the river Ganga, and then you won't be affected by your karmas, your bad karmas. Isn't it, I mean, isn't it unfair, Maharaj, to river Ganga as well and to other people who are actually doing good karmas, who are actually doing good deeds?
Well, the Ganga is like fire. Whenever you touch fire, either willingly or unwittingly doing it, you get burned. So even if you're a very sinful person, but you bathe in the Ganga, you will get purified. That is the nature of the Ganga. Uh, so, uh, and fortunately, Ganga doesn't say, well, I'm not going to purify this person because they're a very bad person and I don't want to receive their sinful activities. No, Ganga is merciful for all living entities who are fortunate enough to go to India and bathe in her waters.
Okay. Okay, Maharaj. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Okay.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Yes.
So it says, take away from today, E Rupe Brahmanda Brahmante, Kona Bhagyavan Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Bija. Among all the living entities wandering throughout the universe, one who is fortunate comes in contact with a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus gets the opportunity to execute devotional service. Those who are sincerely seeking the favor of Krishna come in contact with a guru, a bona fide representative of Krishna. That's a very important statement. So those who are sincerely seeking the favor of Krishna come in contact with a guru, a bona fide representative of Krishna. A guru must be a direct representative of Krishna who distributes the instructions of Krishna without any change. Thus, only the most fortunate persons come in contact with the guru, as confirmed in the Vedic literatures. Tad Vigyanartam Sagurum Ivabhigachet. One has to search out a guru to understand the affairs of the spiritual world. Srimad Bhagavatam also confirms this point. Tasmat Gunam Prapadyeta Jigyasu Sreya Uttamam. One who is very interested in understanding the activities in the spiritual world must search out a guru, a bona fide representative of Krishna. From all angles of vision, therefore, the word guru is especially meant for the bona fide representative of Krishna and no one else. Padma Purana states, a Vaishnava Guru Nasyat, one who is not a Vaishnava or who is not a representative of Krishna cannot be a guru. Even the most qualified Brahmin cannot become a guru. if he is not a representative of the Krishna. Brahmanas are supposed to acquire 6 kinds of auspicious qualifications. They become very learned scholars, Patana, and very qualified teachers, Patana. They become expert in worshiping Lord or the demigod, Yajana, and they teach others how to execute this worship, Yajana. They qualify themselves as bona fide persons to receive alms from others, Pratigraha, and they distribute their wealth in charity, Dana. Yet, even a Brahmana possessing these qualifications cannot become a guru unless he is the representative of Krishna. Guru Nasya. Vaishnava Swabhako Guru. But a Vaishnava, a bona fide representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, can become a guru, even if he is a Swabhaka, a member of the family of dog eaters. Of the three divisions of heavenly planets, Swargaloka, Bhoma Swarga, is sometimes accepted as a tract of land in Bharatvarsha, known as Kashmir. In this region, there are certainly good facilities for material sense enjoyment, but this is not the business of a pure transcendentalist. Rupa Goswami described the engagement of a pure transcendentalist as follows. Anya Vilasita Sunyam Yana Karma Dhyanapratam Anakuyena Krishnan Silanam Bhaktir Uttam. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. Those who fully engage in devotional service to Krishna just to please him are not interested in the 3 divisions of heavenly planets, namely Divya Swarga, Bhauma Swarga, and Bila Swarga. Okay, well, that is our takeaway for today. We should be very interested in, at least once in our life, to go and take a bath in the Ganges water. Not to take a bath, but to worship the transcendental Ganga, so that we can become purified and be blessed for the rest of our life. Yeah. You've been to the Ganges?
Yes, Maharaj.
Me too.
In childhood, Maharaj, we went many times because our grandmother, she used to go to.
You see, she used to take you, right?
Yes, to Ganga and Yamuna as well.
Even though she's not a great pundit, but she knows what is the right thing to do. That's why you're a devotee. Hare Krishna. All right, we'll stop right there. Are there any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, I have a question.
Yes.
Like all this knowledge about, Sumeru Parvat, their sizes and all, how does this knowledge help us in our bhakti?
Okay, that's a good question. It gives you a clear ability to see the complexity of the universe. And that complexity of the universe should wake us up from our mundane life and understand how complicated the universe is. But if you simply chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and follow the rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness, you can traverse all the complicated places in the universe and go back to Godhead. You see, otherwise, without this knowledge, you get stuck somewhere in the material worlds. And it's very difficult to get out of that, attachment. But by hearing about all these different places and all the different mountains and so forth, you suddenly realize how complicated the material world is. And it's not easy to get out of the material world unless one is fully determined to follow Krishna consciousness and constantly chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and engage in devotional service. Otherwise, we will become caught somewhere in the great nature of the material world. You see, there's so many people that are caught. They're more or less put into prison of the material world because there's so many attractive things in the material world. And we have to learn to not be attracted by them. Therefore, this is knowledge. Through knowledge, you can become educated. And now we're being educated to see how complex the material world is. But the saving grace is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and Vaishnava culture. Look how complicated the universe is. How can a person who only eats, sleeps, mates, and defends can become liberated? It's not possible. It's impossible. But when you have knowledge of all this knowledge of what's going on in the universe, and especially the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and devotional service, you have a chance to become liberated from the cycle of birth and death. Otherwise, it is impossible. It's too complicated. It's too, let's say, there are too many pitfalls. What are the pitfalls? There are different things that we may become attracted by in the material world. But a genuine devotee is not attracted by anything in the material world. But that is because of knowledge. So we are getting that knowledge here by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Look at all the effort he's made to help us understand the complexity of the universe so that we're not attracted by anything falsely. On the other hand, we should be awed or very, let's say, enlightened of the complexity of the universe and the knowledge of the universe so that we do not become attracted by anything in it. That's only by knowledge. It's just like a child. A child is playing in a backyard and a snake comes. And the child doesn't know what it is. So it might touch the snake and get bitten. You see. So we're all like that child. Ignorant, not knowing what the danger is of that snake. So in the same way, without all this knowledge, we could easily be bitten by the snake of sense gratification and false attraction of things and become incapable of making spiritual advancement. So therefore, Prabhupada is giving us all the knowledge. You cannot say, oh, I didn't know. No, you can't say that because Prabhupada is giving all the knowledge. Right? But it takes time to process all this knowledge. Right? That's why every day, twice a day, we're reading Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and so forth to try and understand what our position is in this material world and how to get out of the what you would call the jungle of material sense gratification. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, my dear devotees. Are there any questions or comments?
It's a wonderful example you gave, Maharaj, about the snake and the child. It gives a lot of clarity.
Yeah. Children don't really know what a snake is, And some snakes are very pretty. They're attractive. And out of ignorance, the child may touch the snake and get bitten. It happens. So, I guess.
Yesterday, I was reading one of the news where snake has come and the child has bitten the snake and snake died.
What happened? What happened?
Back in India,
Yeah,
yesterday news.
yeah,
So snake has come into house.
yeah,
Child was playing.
yeah,
Child saw the snake
yeah.
and child tried to bite the snake. Bit the snake and the snake died.
The child killed the snake
Yeah.
by biting it?
Yeah.
Wow. That child must be a Maharati. Must have been a very powerful, well, I don't know. It might have been a real, like a worm instead of a big snake. I don't know. Yeah. Good. Okay. Snakes should be killed. Whenever there's a snake in the temple, Prabhupada would always say, kill it. Because snakes are very dangerous. Okay. Thank you very much, my dear devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank God that there's Srila Prabhupada. What would we do? How could you ever process all this knowledge? Impossible. Nobody has all this knowledge. Only a pure devotee like Prabhupada can explain all this. And Prabhupada said that his purports are his spiritual ecstasy. You can see. If you just read the verses, you would not really understand much. But with Prabhupada's purports, now you're able to process what's being said. Haribo, Haribo. Okay, my dear devotees, please have a good day. Chant Hare Krishna. Oh, play with snakes. There are snakes here also. Fortunately, though, on this side of the mountain, there are no poisonous snakes. You never know. There might be one, but the snakes on this side of the mountain, they look like poisonous snakes. They're thick like that, and usually in August you begin to see them.
Yes.
They start out by being small, and then they get big and fat after eating a lot of rats and other things. And actually, they're doing a good service. They're eating the rats and eating other things. So we should not kill them. They have their qualities also. They eat snakes
Rats.
and rats. Yeah, they eat rats. Haribo.